that's like going to war. You know, when you get in that foxhole in a war, that's where you bond, right? But I loved it. I loved every moment of it. When I talk about I want to be somebody so bad, it just ate me up inside. I see that in you. There ain't nobody like me. Okay. All right, we got to hurry. Thank you. All right. Okay, we got to go. Angela just came up and asked me then. She said, are you okay? You look sad, I do sometimes when have a meeting like this. A cloud comes over me in a way. I was just thinking right at the break, a couple of people come up. I don't even know them. And they want to take a picture, and I take a picture, and they hug me, and they squeeze me, and they say, body language and verbally, I love you. That's it. And it just, I want to do more. I want to help, and, I don't know. Sometimes I feel helpless, but this is all I can do. So anyway, we're going to keep on going. Building personal relationships. There are 5 things you've got to do, and you've got to do it 100%, And so you got to understand that everybody has this flashing sign on them that says, I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody. I want to make a difference with my life. Help me. Building personal relationships is not almost everything, folks. It's everything there is, plus everything there is, plus everything there is. See, if your players and coaches don't trust you, you can't win. And if you don't trust your players and coaches, you can't win. I talked last night about the decisions those people made. Bill Lorinda give up my job, $120,000 a year, 650 people in 5 states, securities license and insurance license, all his expenses paid, gives that up to come with A.O. Williams as a division manager because he didn't want to work with a company, because he knew if you worked with a company, they're going to own you and they're going to put a ceiling on your head. And here I'm telling him the odds are like this of us surviving. He understands the risk, but he tells himself, I just want a chance. We're probably going to blow it. Probably maybe the stupidest decision I've ever made in my life. See, people only make those kind of decisions if they trust you. And how do you build trusting relationships? It's spending time with them. It's sharing their problems, sharing their life. It hurts. I mean, I think the greatest way you can judge a person's success in A.O. Williams is how many successful people you build. I really believe when you get old, I'm 76 years old, and you get old like me, and you look back at your life, it's not the money. It's not all the houses. It's not the airplane. It's not the places we've been. I'm telling you, the most satisfying thing in my life is the people that I felt like. Man, I went through hell with them. We were in that foxhole, man, and people shooting at you, and I didn't think. I went to bed so many times, knowing we were out of business, knowing there was no way. But somehow we found a way. And I saw what this company did for so many people, and I think I had a small part to play. And I was sad today. I got sad. Angela, you read me right. Because I saw some of you come up, and you want to win so bad, it's just eating you up inside. When I talk about I want to be somebody so bad, it just ate me up inside. I see that in you. And if I could, I'd give you $1 million. But I can't, me giving you money. I used to tell RVPs that everybody I've ever loaned money to, it just delayed a problem. So I made a rule in A.O. Williams for me personally and for the RVPs. Don't loan money. Don't loan. Every time I've loaned money to somebody, it delayed a problem. And then if you loan them money and then they're supposed to pay you back and they don't pay it back, and then you go try to get it back, then you tear up your relationship. And so I decided, rather than loan money, I'd give money. You know, if you need it, really feel like you need it, I've given millions of dollars away, okay? But I just refuse to loan money. It's hard. Building personal relationships is hard. The greatest personal relationship person I knew in A.L. Williams was Mike Tuttle. Go get that 45-minute TV program he did on Primerica TV and watch that thing. He's better than me. He's better than me at building personal relationships. But if you're going to build a great team, if you're going to help people change their own life, then folks, there's got to be a bond. There's got to be a trust that borders on being something. Unless you've experienced it, you don't understand it. I think that's what football taught me. I think that's what coaches taught me. Man, when you're a coach and you got those 40 players in a room and there's 25,000 people out there in the stands like in my last game, and we're playing the national champions, Valdosta, in the semifinals of the state, you know, and man, it's you and those 40-something players playing the national champions, 25,000 people in the stands. Man, only you know what it means to be in that kind of environment. Only those A.L. Williams people. Only those people that hugged me a while ago. I mean, I know how bad you want it. I know how bad you want it. And folks, I would give anything if I could be with you. I'd give anything if I could be, because I know I'd be good for you. I know if I could have a personal relationship with you. I know when you're hurting, when you're crying, when you're dying. I could say something that would give you, I know it. And I'd give my right arm if I could do it. That's what you've got to find, somebody that you believe in, that you know is right, that's tough, that'll be loyal to you and good to you. Coach Taylor was that person in my life. Coach Taylor was my only hero in life. My only hero in life. Started working with him in the 5th grade. Started playing for him in high school, played for him, you know, and worked for him all the way through college. Had a relationship with him when he died. 3 days before he died, his wife called me and says, Art, Coach Taylor wants to see you. He had a melanoma, and the last 6 weeks of his life, he was bedridden on oxygen. That day I went to Tallahassee, Florida to see him, and I was like his son. I don't know why he picked me out. I was just sort of an average athlete, the average student. Any way you look at me, I'm pretty average, honestly. I mean, you might say that's a bunch of crap, okay? But it's true. It's really true. And his wife called me and said, Coach Taylor wants to see you. It was the first time in 6 weeks, 3 days before he died, he got out of his bed, shaved. And we sat there for about 2 hours, and it was something special. But he saw something in Art Williams. He saw something in Art Williams. He made me feel special. I wasn't special. I really didn't have any special gifts. But he made me feel like I did. I would look at him sitting in the lunchroom, and all those teachers and coaches would be over there, you know, eating. And I'd look at him, and I just admired him so much. I'd look at him and I'd say, man, if I could just one day have a position where I could have an influence off somebody like he has on me, if I could make kids feel about themselves the way he makes me feel important. He makes me feel like somebody. I said, that's all I want to do with my life. That's all I want to do with my life. I'd watch him on a basketball court and a football field. And for some weird reason, now he did this for hundreds of others. He's in that little town for 20 years, so I wasn't the only one, okay? But in my mind, I was the only one. He made me feel like I was the only one. He made me feel like I was the only one in Cairo, Georgia, that he coached Eve. That's how we developed a relationship. Eve's told me what he told you last night. He said, Art, you were my hero. You made me. I listened to your tape. You know who I listened to. Coach Taylor made me feel like I was the one. that I was going to do something incredible. That I was going, that's what you got to be. That's what you got to be to your team. You got to make them feel special. You got to become an expert on praise and recognize. That little t-shirt I gave Eve last night, I want to. That's what I saw in our relationship. The first time I touched him was last night. But as I began to have a relationship with Eve, the thing I thought is he was just eating up with want to. He was just eating up with want to. He shared with me how he gave up this career with this company, went to Canada, and didn't allow him to recruit part-timers, and he went full-time immediately and bet his life on A.O. Williams, and somehow I didn't even know him, but somehow I was Coach Taylor to him. Can you imagine what that's worth? That's most, 1,000,000 times more than a paycheck. It's got to be more than just the money. You got to love it. That sounds so hokey. We loved it. We loved it. We loved the fight. We loved the war. We loved the relationships. We loved training people. We loved recruiting the right kind of people. We loved it. Mickey Mantle said it best to me. He said, I love hitting the baseball. I love hitting the baseball. I wake up one day and it's raining and I can't go to the ballpark and hit a baseball. I get angry because I want to go hit a baseball. I don't like hitting a baseball. I love hitting a baseball. He said, you can't ever be great if you like something. You got to love it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything. I didn't like it all the time. I didn't like missing sales. I didn't like my best guy quitting. I didn't like all the investigations, all the crap we went through. But I loved it. I loved every moment of it. See, nobody wants a boss in building relationships, but everybody wants a coach. Bosses are quick to criticize. They look for your weaknesses. That's city. Coaches are quick to praise. They look for your strengths. You know, a coach, you might have a wide receiver that's 5'10", runs a 4.8 40, but you'd love to have one 6'3" that runs a 4.3 40. But you know what? That's your wide receiver. That's who you got. And you got to make him feel like an All-American. You got to make him feel like he's the best guy on the field. Coaches make you feel good. Bosses make you feel bad. Coaches look for good things. Bosses look for bad things. Coaches are always positive. Bosses are always negative. Coaches are always excited. Bosses is always business. You know what? Wow. Over the last 30 years since I left Primerica, not Hill, I ain't part of Primerica. Since I left A.O. Williams, I've written a letter every day. I only got an email a year and a half ago. Now, sometimes I'll write 5 or 10 letters a day, and then won't write it for a week. But I've averaged probably writing a letter every day for the last 30 years. And I found that most people in the world today, they don't get a letter. They get emails. I love, me and Eve's developed a love over the email. And it's wonderful that I can even do more than one letter a day. But I still write a letter, Eve's, every day, average letter every day, telling somebody I appreciate them, I love them. And one day every week, I take cookies or candy to all the people down at Old Edwards, the leaders. One day every week, I hand carry a cookie or a piece of candy to all the leaders at A.O. Williams. That's how you build personal relationships. You've got to show people you love them. You just can't talk it. Fourth principle, you got to always sell the vision. I think Andy, go back and watch Andy's risk taker video if you want to know how to sell a vision. I love that, Andy, more than anything. When you went to Washington, D.C., and you drew that circle, and you told your people, I'm going to have offices here and here, and he didn't have a pot to pee in. Didn't have no money, no real success at that time. But he had a vision, and he sold his vision to those guys. And when you talked about opening an office, see, I'm talking about an RVP in my mind, okay? I told all the A.O. Williams people, all the A.O. Williams leaders, RVPs, You make every person that comes to work, every recruit comes to work. You look at them as RVP. You talk to them like they're an RVP. You treat them like they're an RVP. You be proud of them like they're an RVP. Everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to be part of the best in selling this vision. I wanted to recruit tough people. I mean, I don't know why it is, but I used to tell John Yall, I didn't want to recruit insurance agents, for heaven's sakes, because they screwed all their friends. They ain't got no friends, right? And I didn't want to recruit professional salespeople because they've learned all this bullshit, these sales techniques, and that was not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to recruit professional athletes. We hired one of the best. Bob Turley turned out to be a superstar, but I had so many professional athletes I recruited. They think that they had this attitude that people ought to just let them come in the house because they're used to signing autographs, and taking pictures, and everybody treats them like a hero and all that kind of crap. Well, go start trying to sell financial services, as an Atlanta Brave. I had an Atlanta Brave one time. And so I said, I gave up on all that kind of crap. All these brains, smart people, pretty people, they wear me out, because they think they're entitled, What I want somebody that, is tough. I mean tough. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how well educated you are. I think a college degree, honestly, folks, unless you're in a medical business or you need some kind of technical skill like that, honestly, I try to encourage all my grandbabies. They all went to college, But I said it's a total waste of time. I literally told them that. Total waste of time, total waste of money, and especially if you borrow money as a student loan. That's politicians at their worst, doing that to these kids, I wanted tough people. I wanted tough people. Because I knew it was going to be I expected it to be tough. See, life don't give you what you want. I found out early in my life in A.O. Williams that life don't give you what you want or what you'd love to have. Everybody wants to be successful. I just had people hug me and said, Art, you're my hero. They want to make it more than anything in the world. Everybody wants that, but that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough to want it. Everybody wants that. Life gives you what you'll accept. Life gives you what you will accept. You've got to go out there and you've got to demand for yourself success and fulfillment and happiness and financial independence. That's the only way you're going to get it. Because nobody's going to give you nothing. Nobody's going to give you nothing. Life is tough. It's hard to be successful. It's hard to be successful. You got to show up and fight. I think one gift I had was I understood tough people. I understood people that came up tough. And I believe people wanted three things. And this was one of the foundational principles at A.O. Williams. See, I figured all this kind of crap through trial and error. I think people wanted three things: to be their own boss, to work at something they're passionate about. I meet so many sad people in my life that just have a job, that just work at a salary. They just exist from day to day, and I feel so sorry for them. They want to have, the people I wanted at A.O. Williams, I wanted these people to still be dreamers, to have a passion about something. We love this thing. And the third thing is I believe everybody wanted financial independence where nobody could put their thumb on them and squeeze them. Warning, folks, no limits don't work without multiplication. That's one mistake too many companies, including yours, makes, is they limit the building the teams, they limit the multiplication. And the no limits, all the money, that doesn't work. It has to work together. We promised everybody at A.O. Williams, every new recruit, we'll never limit your money. We'll never limit your people's money. But then you've got to understand this system, and you've got to simplify the system where you can transfer the system, right? And then you've got to understand that it comes down to multiplication. You've got to understand the multiples, right? See, A.O. Williams, we didn't want to be that person. We didn't want to be that person that built a business by addition. We wanted to be multiplication. We wanted to go out and recruit people, unlimited number of people, and then help our people recruit people and build teams, and help those people recruit people and build teams. That's the way we changed an industry. See, there's two advantages in building a team. I sold this to every person at every fast start school. The advantage in having a team, overriding dozens and then hundreds and then thousands of people, is you build a secure income. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to build a big bay shop or just be in sales. That's why I recruited Bob Turley. Bob Turley was just in sales, and I met him. I'll tell you his story in just a minute. But I told Bob, I said, Bob, I got something better for you. A.L. Williams has got something better for you. You don't want to be in sales because you're unemployed every day. And a big bay shop is just a version of sales, okay? You're unemployed every day. Something happens to you, man, your business stops, right? I wanted to build a secure income, and I wanted to build a big income with no limits. The last thing that happened to me at Waddell and Reed, I shared with you last night, is I was in St. Petersburg. I mean, you got to understand these moments that happen in your life, okay? I mean, I was hating corporate America more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, the last thing happened, and I had it. I was leaving. I had it. I didn't want no more part of them. I was willing to give up all my financial ambitions to go back in coaching if I had to, but I wasn't going to work with them no more, okay? When they called me and told me that all I could promote was 2 people, when I was expecting them to tell me I could promote 15 or 12 or 10 or 8. And they said 2, and I had 19 people that were hugging me and crying with me. And I was going to war with them. And I made promises to them. And I made commitments to them. And I couldn't deliver. And that tore me up. And that did it with me. And I said, we're going to build a company. We ain't giving you nothing but a tough time. You know, buddy, you're going to want to quit 10 million times, okay? But I want you to know I'm going to be there. And when you earn a promotion, I'm going to be there to give you a promotion. And when your people earn a promotion, then we're going to give them a promotion. And the one thing about Primerica that just killed me more than anything are these people that got different guidelines out there, and they create guidelines to hold people back for bonuses and crap. We weren't that way. We weren't perfect. We made tons of mistakes. But I'll tell you one thing we did that was good, is everybody was a team. We had one set of guidelines, and when we made a commitment, and if you did your part, and you earned a promotion, if somebody held you back, I would fire their ass. And you could hardly get fired at A.L. Williams. You could hardly get fired, but every now and then somebody would do it. You had the right as an RVP to promote early. Like I said, sometimes I would lose a district manager and I'd promote 2 people to district just to prove to the team that I was going to promote people, okay? I'd lose an RVP. Sometimes I'd promote 2 people to an RVP that hadn't met the guidelines. I didn't do it all the time. I expected my people to meet the guidelines, okay? But I promoted people sometimes early. You make battlefield promotions, just like my friend that got killed in Vietnam, right? I mean, man, we're in a war, and you got to have the ability to make promotions. Our first guidelines, our first plan at A.L. Williams, February 10, 1977. See, a lot of people say, well, how did you do all this at first? This was 9 years. You know, we had this business figured out, we thought, okay? We were going, this is what we want an RVP to do. You wanted everybody to become an RVP, then build 7 to 10 first generation. Now, we had some people build 20 first, and we said some people build 1 first, okay? But this was just a goal. This was nothing but a number on a piece of paper, okay? But to build 7 to 10 RVPs, and then help them build 7 to 10 RVPs. Okay, look at this. Now, you got this thing, but look at it up here, if you will. This is the power of ownership. If you build 7, and they build 7, that's 49 seconds, and they build 7, that's 343. That's a total of 399 RVPs. If you made our average sale, that would be $323,000 monthly income, 3.8 annual income. We had some people that did that. And then you could pass that on at death. You know, you could have one of your kids take this business and have a $3.8 million lifetime. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Isn't it? But that's a lot of RVPs. Let's say, okay, but just look at this. Now you got that chart here, okay? Now let's say you just did 6. Now that's building an income, a legacy income of 3.3 million. Let's say you did 5. You just did 5. You built 5 and happy people did 5. That's $2.7 million. Let's say you did 4. This is the power of multiplication. That's $2.2 million. Let's say you just did 3. That's $1.6 million. Let's say you just did 2. That's $1.1 million. Let's say you just did 1. Let's say, Gus, you just built 1 RVP, help them build 1 RVP, then they build 1 RVP, then they build 1 RVP through 6 generations. That's $553,000. That's the power of multiplication. Is that unbelievable? This is another thing we sold. The power of 3. I told you about me recruiting the Auburn basketball team, right? See, the only way you're going to lose, I'd tell a new recruit, the only way you're going to lose that $100 is not set up appointments, right? You set up me appointments, I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell for you and make you money, and I'm going to recruit and help you build a team, right? And let me show you what my goal is. The power of 3. If we just recruit 3. Now see, that's where a lot of people make mistakes. They go out there and say, I want you to recruit 50 people or 20 people, or you got to make this thing feel so easy. It's got to appear to be so easy. It ain't easy. It's not easy to do 3, okay? But it's got to appear to be easy, right? See, we learned as coaches, you know, this every Thursday, you know, I put our goals up there. Okay, you got to have short-term goals that you can see yourself accomplishing in 60 days or 90 days. You can't have one of these goals that it's going to take you 10 years to do, right? You just wear out before that. So here's what we did with our part-timers. If you recruit 3, just help them recruit 3. Then they go recruit 3. That's 39 players. Now that's a really realistic, doable goal. That's $3.5 million a month. It overrides $42,000 a year. That's a pretty good part-time income. That's a pretty good launching point to go full-time, right? But let's say you can't do 3, that you don't do 3. You just did 2. 2 that did 2 that do 2, just 3 times. That's $28,000 in overrides. Let's say you just do 1. Just do 1. You go recruit 1, that recruits 1, that recruits 1, just 3 times. That's $14,000. That makes 1 sale a month. Is that unbelievable? See, that's the way I think you sell the multiplication. Look at this. I said when I went to Atlanta, I didn't know anybody, and I recruited T. Faircloth, who led me to Bob Buson, who led me to Bob Miller and Randall Walker, you know, and blah, 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 blah. Look at this. Scott Reynolds, that wrote that book that I showed you last night, used to speak at A.O. Williams meetings and all that kind of stuff. Somehow Bob Turley, who was selling term insurance, and he sold so much term insurance. Bob Turley was the greatest salesperson I've ever known. You know, Bob Turley, in 1 year with the New York Yankees, he won the Hickok Belt, which is the professional athlete of the year. That's all the professional sports. He won the Hickok Belt. He won the Cy Young Pitcher Award, same year. And then he won the most valuable player in the World Series. In 1 year, that guy did that. This guy was a legend. Bullet Bob Turley was unbelievable. And you know what he made? I think he told me what he made. He made $30,000 for New York Yankees back then. And so Bob was selling buy term and invest the difference before I knew it, but he was selling so much term insurance, the companies kept kicking him out because they wanted him to sell cash value insurance. True story, okay? So somehow, I want to show you how the system works. It's just weird once you get this system going and you get it in your head and you just let it go. It's just amazing what happens, right? And it happens at the strangest times in the strangest way if you just stay positive and keep going, right? Bob Turley was friends with Scott Reynolds. He goes, tell Scott, Scott, I got to find a company. They keep kicking me out. He says, you ought to meet Art Williams. So Scott Reynolds calls me because we'd become friends. He was speaking at A.O. Williams. We were using his book. And he introduced me to Bob Turley. I said, Bob, we got a better way. Bob Turley comes to work with Art Williams. Bo Adams was trying to build an organization. He was a regional vice president with National Home Life, our second company. He was trying to recruit Bob Turley. Bob Turley said, I ain't leaving. I'm at A.O. Williams. You need to meet Art Williams. Bob Turley leads me to Bo Adams, who I consider the most valuable person in the history of A.O. Williams. Then Bo Adams, I get a call from financial assurance owner. He says, we're out of money. You got to get a new company. Bo Adams leads us to Art and Moss, our second company, National Home Life. Then National Home Life had a national sales rep trying to build a sales force called Bob Safford. And we get Bob Safford, and it goes on and on and on. Is that unbelievable? Bob Turley. Look at what he built. 600 RVPs, 92 SVPs, 55 NSDs, 200. It's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. When I started doing these risk take videos, it's unbelievable what some of these guys did. $10 million earners. Bob Turley's income is $3.1 million a year. You got to have a vision. You got to have a vision. And then the last thing is that original game plan I handed to the A.O. Williams people. There's only one way. There's only one way. A team is everybody operating with one heartbeat. I told you last night I had only one rule in my football team is you come to practice every day. I don't care if you got the flu. This morning I didn't feel good. And I rolled out of that bed, and at 5:10 I was hitting that pool. And I went for an hour and 1 minute, Eves, this morning. I couldn't make one. We had two rules at A.O. Williams. You automatically got fired in my mind. We didn't publish them, okay? But we got one set of guidelines. I mean, I didn't even have to think about that because I didn't think anybody was stupid enough to have two sets of guidelines. But then when I saw another company that did all this, then I said in my mind, if I'd run into anybody that did this, I'd fire them, you know? Send a new recruit to outside trainers. That's what the Citigroup bought in. I think that's when all that started, you know. I'd fire somebody. You think I would let some A.O. Williams recruit go to we're supposed to train across the kitchen table. That was our way, and they wasn't but one way. We train crusaders and life insurance agents. I mean, there's some people that I respect in Primerica today. I talked to one a few weeks ago. He is a fantastic guy, and his wife is fantastic. And they're so screwed up, it's unbelievable. First thing I say that I always look at, guy's making a lot of money, $800,000, $1 million a year. His licensing ratio is 13%, so that tells me something right there, okay? And he's got different training things on the internet. That's how I met him, you know. And he talks about single people needing life insurance. I don't understand this. I mean, this is on the internet. This guy's unbelievable. He's not a sham. He's a great guy. His wife's a great person. But he talks about single people. I've never sold a single person life insurance in my life. But he talks about a single person. What you do is a single person needs life insurance because there's a chance they can become uninsurable. And so you need to sell them life insurance to protect them against that risk. I mean, he's got to, you can believe, I don't believe that. Okay, but he believes that, okay, I reckon. But okay, single guy, so he says, I sell them $500,000 of the 10. And then I think this is right, I sell them $250,000 of the 15, I think, and then $250,000 of the 20. And then, so I'm protecting him against the possibility of him becoming uninsured. Then, when the policies are issued, we're going to figure out what he really needs, and then we're going to start cutting back to what he needs, $500,000, $400,000. Well, you know what he's doing. It's the bonuses. You know, he's going to sell them $1 million policy for a bigger premium to get his bonus, and then he's going to start. I mean, he's a good guy. And I talked to him and I said, let me tell you something. You can be great in this business. You could be great. You could be absolutely great. But you'll never be great training insurance agents. And that's what you're doing. Because I'd never come to work for you. Oh, you put me in one of those classes, you talk about that kind of crap. I'd say this is the biggest screwing in the world, you know. We built crusaders. We didn't build life insurance agents. I expected 3 things from our leaders. I expected them. Now, we didn't have no rules about recruiting 4 and 5 pointers, but we just found out that by recruiting people that were married and had kids and owned a home and had a job, that they were more likely to, 25 to 55, that they were more likely to get a license, that they were more likely to stay around to recruit people. I mean, I'm getting a headache, but you understand what I'm trying to say, right? It was not a rule, but it just became obvious to us that why waste our time in recruiting a bunch of hogs? Go look at the hogs, the 7 hogs on the line, and get the stud, right? Don't just take all of them and hope somebody comes. Never bring a person to a meeting first. We had a guy that was the hottest leader in A.O. Williams, Dennis Richardson in Houston, Texas, that all of a sudden he just went to the top like you can't believe. And we found out that he had all his people bringing people to a meeting first, an opportunity meeting. He would pass out applications at the meeting to all these people, let's say 200 people at the meeting, and make them fill out their own app. And he was killing it. But he almost killed A.O. Williams. And I had to fire him. And that was a tough thing. Number 3 is we didn't believe in any pressure. We didn't have any rules about not selling on the first interview. But we believed when we started this company that was a stupid thing to do. And so we didn't do it. And then we found out it was a stupid thing to do. It was always friends talking to friends. The 3 characteristics we look for in a leader. You got to always be up. You got to always be up. Angela said a while ago that I was sad. I said, are you okay? You feel okay? I really was sad because I had 2 or 3 people hug me and they said, you're my hero. And all of a sudden I had this feeling of being responsible a little bit. I mean, I needed to give them more of me. And I can't do that. And, you know, you got to always be up. The single most important thing you develop in your lifetime is a positive attitude. It's just, I know I'm going to go through all that crap. I know I need to do it for the videos. Damn it, Matt, I ain't going to do it. The second thing is we were looking for leaders. You know, show me anything, the common denominator of all the people that made it big, where they were leaders. Anything that wins is run by a leader. And the common denominator of all great leaders is they do everything you're supposed to and a little bit more. I use an example where I learned that I never forgot it. 2 people, 2 RVPs in Dallas, Texas. One of them was Bill Arena, was making $500,000 a year, and the other one was Jim Martin. He's no longer with us, so I'll use his name. Never used his name before, okay? Both of them were great people. Both of them were successful in their own eyes. They both made money. They both saved money. They both recruited. They both built successful people. They both did everything you're supposed to. But Bill Arena did everything you're supposed to and a little bit more. He made money a little bit more. That taught me a lesson. I learned from that. I learned how to build relationships from Mike Tuttle. I learned a work ethic from Bob Usan. I learned a toughness from this guy. Then the third characteristic I saw in all the people that made it, that were risk takers in A.O. Williams, is they were an example. You know, you can't sit there and tell your people to sick them when they're hurting and dying. The best thing you can do for your people is you get out there and recruit. You show them. If they ain't recruiting, you show them you can still recruit. You know, you can still make money. You be a do-it-first people. I said last night, I'm going to close with this. It's 12 o'clock, so we're doing fair. Most courageous person. You know, I got all these memories and I got all these things in my head, and I'm gonna tell the A.O. Williams story on videos, you know, and I'm gonna come out with a risk taker. I've already done most of it on Jenny Carter. And I've got all these things in my mind about, you know, who were the greatest? Who were the people that just were the greatest that stood out in A.O. Williams? And what area were they the greatest in? Jenny Carter, in my mind, was the most courageous person in A.O. Williams. I sat down with her, you know, for hours before we started A.O. Williams. And I said, Jenny, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, man, look, Jenny, you got 4 kids at home. Are you sure you want to roll the dice and take this risk? And she did. And look at what she built. 181 RVPs, 23 SVPs, 16 NSDs, 6 SNSDs in 27 states in Canada. 110 people making over $100,000 a year. 4 people making over $1 million, earning $1.5 million a year. Is that just unbelievable? Now that don't happen to everybody. But that happened to some of our people. And that gave me hope. Because I always felt like, as I said early on, you're really not a sales leader till you produce a sales leader. You're not a district leader, you produce a district leader. You're not an RVP till you produce an RVP. Okay, you're not a person that's worthy of making $100,000 till you produce somebody making $100,000 a year, right? And so my theory was, if we had one person, if we had one Jenny Carter that could do what she did with the handicaps she had, not in terms of ability, but just the responsibility of having 4 babies at home. And how do you field train with 4 babies at home? How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you run a fast start school? How do you do all those kind of things and have 4 kids at home, and then you gotta do everything you're supposed to in A.O. Williams, and then you gotta go home and cook meals and clean up and do laundry? And how you do it? I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But because I saw people like Jenny Carter do it, then it said, Art, you can do it. We had those kind of people at A.O. Williams that did it with impossible odds. Let's watch this video.
How did you do it? How did you dadgum do it? I'm not talking about becoming #1. I'm talking the odds are just like this of us surviving. In every management decision at A.O. Williams, I expect you to put the human factor in there. I expect you to consider the person. I expect you to be honest. I expect you to be above board. I expect you to tell the dadgum truth. I like who we are. I like our way of doing things. Folks, we are going to win, but we're going to win our way.
The entire vision for A.L. Williams was to create a company that always did the right thing for the consumer, and at the same time, to create an environment where men and women could be their own boss, perform with no limits for promotions and incomes, with no protected territories, and no limits on recruiting.
The only purpose of A.O. Williams is to serve salespeople. Now see folks, some little something like that makes us totally different from all other companies out there. Because you know, in our industry, 99+% of the companies in America today in our industry are run by accountants, are run by lawyers, are run by actuaries. You can't understand this business unless you've carried a briefcase. You can't understand that. If anybody's gonna make the big money, it's gotta be the dadgum people out there on the firing line, right? You're the people that take the big risk. You're the people every day that get your nose bloody, right? You're the people out there that people are telling you no, that changing the dadgum mind, the competition, getting out there, right?
As the company grew, so did the organizations, incomes, and businesses of the men and women that made up the A.L. Williams family.
Some 13, 14 years ago, as we just started this thing, we were just out there trying to make a living with a great feeling about buy term and invest the difference. And I really have developed a feeling over the years that we're almost a company of destiny.
We're going to try to build a company like we build a football team. Anybody that qualifies to come out to the team, we're going to put a uniform on them, we're going to put them out there, we're going to give everybody the same opportunity, and those that can perform, not by talking but by doing it, there's no position, no opportunity you'll be denied.
Of the 2,000 life insurance companies that existed, 36 individual A.L. Williams teams were in the top 100 of the entire industry. Company giants like Bob Wieson, Mike Tuttle, Ronnie Barnes, and Bob Turley had built companies within the company and had put enough life insurance in force to take their place in the top 50 of all life insurance companies.
We really believed we were different. We believed we were special. We believed that one day we would change the thinking of the largest industry in the world.
In the world of business, it simply seemed like a pipe dream that couldn't last. But after more than 40 years, the dreams, passion, and principles that created this incredible success story continue to inspire men and women and rekindle that Friday night feeling that inspires them to achieve their dreams.
See, folks, when you really get down to it, at A.L. Williams, we didn't sell life insurance. We didn't sell investments. It was so much bigger than that. See, at A.L. Williams, we gave people a chance to dream again. Do you know how important that is when you're out there frustrated and getting beat up? We gave people a chance to hope again. We gave people a chance to be excited again.
Folks, there'll never be another A.L. Williams in this industry, the largest industry in the world.
I'm so proud of you, I can't stand it. Folks, ain't nobody in this dadgum country gave us a chance to do what we did. You're doing things in one day and 1 week that it took companies years and years to do.
I'm proud of the things we stand for. I'm proud of our principles, proud of our traditions.
Where could people like us go? Look at me. Where could people like us go? Yes, we knew it was impossible. Yes, we knew the odds were 99% against us surviving. But where could people like me go? Where some company could give me a chance. All we wanted at A.L. Williams was a chance.
We did it, and the way we did it, I'm so proud of it, I can't stand it.